Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe football show. Wow, what a morning it was to what a afternoon/evening it's going to be, because we went from being excited and being told from very reputable sources. By the way, before I get into it though, please smash a like, subscribe, get your comments, hit the notification bell. Big up to the Rat Army, big up to Lee Gunner for sending everyone over. We've already got 500 people in the house. Big up to him for that, thank you. And all the Leeds fans, smash the like, let's get the Leeds people in. Listen, so we went from this morning, linked to Burrows. We heard that from Dara McAntony. Now, of course, there's a lot of spiel about, oh, well, Dara McAntony did it to drum up interest. I'm not convinced on that side of things, just because he'd already said that bids have been accepted by a number of clubs and it's up to the player now. Maybe he was hoping Leeds come in with another bid. I'm not too sure. To get more money, you know, we'll get into it. The Sammy Szmodics stuff, I was told that at 1:30 yesterday. I mentioned that to you earlier. People ran with it today. Alan Nixon being one. Put that on his Patreon. Alex Crooks being another. They're also saying, well, Dara McAntony's got a sell-on clause, so he's got a vested interest in that. So what, did he also tell Alan Nixon that? And then Alex Crooks just done that as a favour? I'm not too sure, because then he'd look silly if it's not true. So I'm not convinced it's all bullshit. But then, of course, the YEP, the Yorkshire-based journalists, have to do their due diligence. I mean, they were quickly retweeting Burrows stuff and all that sort of stuff and saying, look, we spoke about this player in an article back in January, and, oh, look, here's some clips from him. Let's retweet that. But then when they've asked the clubs said, no, we've seen this movie before. Like, I'm not saying we are going to get them. I'm not saying we won't get them. Do you know what I mean? I'm just saying we've seen this movie before, because we were told Archie Gray was not going to Brentford, and then there was a bid accepted half an hour later or whatever it was. So, look, there is always kidology and bits and bats, so who to believe, who knows? Someone's lying. Either Alex Crook, Dara McAntony, Alan Nixon are lying, or the club are lying to the journals. Or basically no one's got a fucking Scooby-Doo and we're all guessing. You know what I mean? That's where we're at. It's mad. Yeah, so... And lightly, and I don't mean this in any way to send shots, because I love Graham's work, I love Joe's work, but the Leeds journals at the minute are always the last to find out. We're finding out half an hour before transfers have even gone through, but we just don't know, do we? We just don't know what's going to happen. Even Leeds could have inquired and might have been told, oh, I want Ipswich, or say we're not interested, save face. Burrows has turned round to Leeds United and gone, nah, I'm going to go Sheffield United because they're going to start me. You've got Firpo. Okay, yeah, we're not interested. You just don't know. More will be revealed, no doubt. But you know me, I'm always going to be like sceptical, quizzical. So I thought I would bring the voice of reason into the building to give us his thoughts on it. You know who the voice of reason is. It is, of course, Joe from Leeds United The View. Joe, welcome, my man. The voice of reason. It is true. You are a calming voice within the space and like to look at things objectively. So, we spoke just briefly off there. You were excited like me this morning, right?
I was watching your show. I just put my video up. I was sitting here sending some emails for channel stuff and website stuff and watching you in the background. And I was getting excited because I was seeing it pop up from people that were relatively reputable, but someone's not being told the truth about something. And I've seen the messages about Dara McAntony saying he has a sell-on clause in Sammy Szmodics, but do you know what? Even if he does, again, as I like to say, follow that truth to its logical conclusion. That doesn't mean that Leeds are going to buy him. That's him saying that out loud isn't going to... Leeds listening to TalkSport this morning didn't hear him say Sammy Szmodics and go, we should buy him. That's not how it works. So, yeah, I don't know. A couple of people had a mare this morning on Twitter sharing definite stuff that's happening. It's not. I think we can actually start peeling through who the real ITKs are and who the ones that are not in the know really are at this point. I think we start wasting our time. But yeah, it's someone knows something that we don't know, or everybody knows nothing. But the YEP have been pretty how do I put this, blunt in saying there's no interest in Szmodics. He's not on Leeds shortlist, and Burrows isn't happening. Leeds haven't. Now the way they've worded it is Leeds haven't had a bid accepted for the player. Yeah, or Leeds are not one of the clubs that have had a bid accepted. So maybe there could be some interest still there, but they haven't put a bid down. But if he's having a medical with Sheffield United, you're going to put a bid down pretty quickly. So all the Sheffield United pages ran with it as well, saying he's off the Leeds now. He's got talks, but nothing there. one thing or another is going to happen here. Either we get definitive information from a reputable source says Leeds have a bid on the table for Szmodics, and there's a talks in a medical. Same with Burrows. If Burrow, turns up at Leeds. If they don't, then Alan Nixon and Alex Crook have been misled. And the Yorkshire Post have been misled.
Yeah. It's quite interesting because I don't. The mad thing is, I just don't know who to believe. Like, normally we would just believe the Leeds side of it, but because of how sort of reluctant 49ers have been to put any news out whatsoever, a lot of the links have come. I mean, Alex Crook got the Rothwell thing, for example. He got the Rothwell thing bang on before any of us even had a clue. Now, he is a South Coast reporter, and he does have more. And listen, maybe Darren McAntony was being, a bit sneaky with it. But what I will say on the Burrows thing, by all accounts, that was sewn up, signed, sealed, delivered, I'm yours. So why isn't he a Sheffield United player then? What's holding that up?
Yes.
That's my thing. Do you know what I mean? No, yeah. But what I'm saying is they were told medical yesterday, all booked. So what's happened? There has to have been something in that timeline to me to suggest something's happened, I believe, anyway.
Yeah, and I've been keeping an eye on the Sheffield United page this morning, and there's nothing permanent that's gone up there around any kind of photographs of medical or anything like that. But then you hear the stories, like we heard the Bogle stuff. You have to wait for the club to actually put out their social media videos in the evening before they announce it. So it could be a case of they're waiting on a certain time to put that out. It could be this evening. It could be getting stuff printed, whatever else. Doesn't necessarily mean it's not happening and it's been delayed. But there could be other clubs. I mean, 5 clubs that are said to have had bids accepted. If Leeds aren't one of them, there's still 4 other clubs in there that have had a bid accepted. So maybe he's hedging his bets. Ipswich seems like a logical move for most of these players. It's Premier League football, but for how long is it going to be Premier League football? And are you looking at moving to a club that will likely possibly come down next year and you're back in the Championship and then having to try and force a move somewhere else? So you're looking at a second club in 2 years. Or do you move to a club that maybe has a better plan in place to try and get up? And that could be a Sheffield United, that could be a Leeds, that could be a Burnley, it could be anybody. But he'll have a look at them before he makes a decision. He's not going to make a snap decision on this. But if a medical's being booked and he's having his medical, you're in Max Aaron's territory where the Leeds were in last year of trying to bend the players there and getting change his mind. So it would be interesting. Jack's right. Leeds won't open their mouth on this until it's done.
I mean, listen, Leeds in Shetland. I genuinely don't believe it's about that because the bid was accepted. The bid's accepted. So I don't know. That's just the way I see that. The bid's accepted. He's
the bid. He can't go back and look for more money. Like he's accepted the bid at a certain rate, and then he's gone on radio and talked about it.
And said it's now up to the player to make the decision. Correct. He literally said that. That came out of his mouth. So I don't agree with that. Anyway, look, Peterborough Telegraph now running with this story, just hot off the press, the last half an hour. It does say the Peterborough Telegraph still believes Peterborough skipper Harrison Burrows is set to join Sheffield United. The Championship club of thoughts were finally sealed his signature. The move was all but confirmed by sources in South Yorkshire and close to home last weekend, although comments by Posh chairman on national radio suggested other clubs still had a chance. His comments prompted speculation Leeds United were trying to hijack the move, although the word from that club, hours after McAntony had spoken, was there was no interest in Burrows, which obviously came out from the YEP. The PT understands Burrows was in Sheffield on Monday, tying up loose ends. It also understands the initial fee is around $3 million, with the same amount due should Burrows and the Blaze be successful over the length of the player's contract. So it looks, that was now, that was tweeted out 25 minutes ago, folks. So it does look like Burrows now is on his way to Sheffield United. But look, whatever Darren McAntony's, maybe he was just saying Leeds have done good business. Who knows? Maybe he was just saying this. But this notion that he was doing it to get a higher fee, I don't go along with, because he'd already accepted and said that the player, now it was up to him. But that's just the way I read it, Joe. But it looks like he's not coming anyway, right?
No, doesn't look like it. That looks like it's done and dusted, and he's heading off to Sheffield United, as he was first thing this morning. Maybe people have picked up some stuff wrong, but if we've picked up what Darren McAntony has said...
We did. Did you watch it? Did you think he's saying... Yeah, of course. So did I. Yeah.
But that's on us. But that's not what the journalists are saying. Like, Nixon and Crook have said, Leeds are in for these players. So they've doubled down on that statement and gone, Leeds have actually got an offer on tape. I've had an offer accepted. So it's not Darragh McAnthony necessarily that's saying that he's accepted a bid from Leeds. He's saying bids have been accepted. Leeds have done good business. And then these journalists have said Leeds are in for Harrison Burrow. So you would imagine Alex Crook would have checked his sources. He's a South Coast reporter. Peterborough's down that end of the world. You'd imagine he'd check that out. Same with Szmodics. You know, Midlands, you'd assume Alan Nixon would have an idea about that as well. Alan Nixon's track record is hit and miss.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Don't say that on Twitter.
I'm already blocked. I can't. I once questioned him on a transfer, and to be honest, you don't even have to be abusive, because I'm not. I tend not to do because I know what it's like on the other side. I just question something, and he blocked me straight off the bat.
He's trying to block Darmashef from Sky.
Really?
Because the story about Szmodics that came out apparently was broken by Darmashef, right? And he retweeted his name, and he says, follows you, so follows Alan Nixon, and wrote another one to add to the block list. I'm like, what? So he's claiming to have reported on a story that isn't true. So you're blocking people for reporting on rumors that aren't true that you've also reported on.
Brilliant.
Come on.
Brilliant. Yeah, he's pretty savage with it, if you question him. I did get sent, actually, because obviously I don't have access to his tweets, but I did get sent a few, actually, just to say, like, what...
Patreon. I used to be, but it's...
Yeah.
It comes out so quickly that you get the information anyway.
Yeah. Like, I'm gonna share a few of these. I don't know. Do you have him on Twitter? I don't know if you do, but I have got a few like little things where he was actually asked about it. Just 1 minute. I'm just gonna save a couple of these to download from WhatsApp, and then I'll stick them on so we can have a little look and see what he's actually said. I
did reach out to him, but he's not likely to reply. So
really,
but we'll
I'll just go through. So this was one. Maybe weird coming from Leeds that this isn't the case, or is it Leeds owners playing their mind games? It's hard being a Leeds fan. And Alan Nixon said maybe they found out the price and ran away. They know the timescale too, because according to reports, there's been a timescale put on it for the end of July. Also says Leeds say they're not in for him, and he says Leeds have been in, and they know the deadline. Again, cheers, Alan. Like I've been saying, Leeds local journeys are so far out of the loop. Have we actually made a bid then, Alan, or not? Leeds have been on and told what it takes and when to bid by. So he's still doubling down and saying, no, listen, Leeds are interested in him. Obviously, it came from Alex Crook this morning as well. The YEP article, I mean, I guess you could say, I mean, I've just read through it here. And I don't know what you make to this line, potentially. Or maybe I'm trying to... I'll share it so you can see what I mean, but
take 10 minutes to get past the ads.
Oh, it's so brutal, isn't it? It says talk that emerged on Tuesday of Leeds making their interest known are wide of the mat. However, as Ipswich appear determined to get their hand on their man, as things stands, Leeds are looking elsewhere. So does that mean they were looking, and now Ipswich are going to get him? They're now going to look elsewhere?
That would suggest that Leeds were told that he's not considering a move to you. He's only considering that, and they've gone, fair enough, we'll walk away.
Yeah.
But the other side of it is, and again, it's rabbit hole territory, but Alan Nixon's not known for backing down on things that he's put out. So, I mean, he's unlikely to, say, actually, no, you're right, it's wrong.
Yeah,
he's not likely to say that. But, as I said, if Leeds have gone in for the player, and if they're looking at a replacement for Nanto or it's a replacement for Somerville, then there's a few quid there to spend. The price won't scare them off. And again, looking at what Ipswich bid for him, 6 million plus 6 million in add-ons. Come on, that's if that's your marquee signing. Leeds did it for Pirro last year. They broke 10 million for him. Actually, total of 15 million if you add on all the bits and pieces. New tweet from Nixon.
Yeah, can you have a look at that, mate? I don't.
Yeah, I'll have a look now.
I don't have a view on it. But yeah,
Sheffield United to end Burrows saga with a deal.
Right. Okay. So that's coming from the Peterborough side of things. It looks like Sheffield United have got their man. What did you think? Obviously, just on that, and I'm not trying to rewrite history, we do have Firpo. It would have been, I guess, hard to convince him anyway, right? To say, right, you're going to have to challenge with Firpo. But we definitely still do need a left-back for me, Joe. We do, because we've only got Firpo.
Yeah, that's why I like the links with Garcia McNulty, because... For me, I thought he's a good age. He's highly rated as a youngster. Give him a year coming off the bench, filling in for Firpo or rotating him around gives him a chance to get used to the level and the league. And then when Firpo walks away at the end of the season or moves off at the end of the year, you've got a replacement to step in, then you're ready to go. Leeds still need a backup left back. It's nice to say Sam Byron covers both sides, and I have said that. The issue is if Sam picks up an injury and then one of them picks up an injury. Now, fair enough, you can stick Max Vauber on the left, but you've got nobody for the right. You've got nobody for the right-hand side.
100%.
So
I agree.
You still need backup in those, and I would have thought a young up-and-coming fullback would be a smart move to do that. And Burrows ticks that for me. You know, he's not necessarily a proven commodity fully yet. Makes sense to come in, compete with Junior, maybe get more game time. And again, going back to the thing about Farke changing up the systems and having more options this year, if he decides to go with wing backs, then it's Firpo. If he decides to go with a flat back four, it could be Burrows. So, you know, there's movement there, but they still need a fullback. So I mean, maybe that's why Leeds have been linked with these players, because it's obvious that Leeds need a player and it's easy for agents to link them to Leeds. But it seems an odd one this morning with the stories that have gone out and then being knocked back so quickly.
100%, it does. Mr. Vancouver, listen, we will be drinking your tears this year. Don't you worry about that, pal. All right? This is what this is saved for people like you. At the end of the day, as Jack says, cheers for Bogle, mate. Cheers for Bogle. I like this, though, mate. I live for this shit, Mr. Vancouver. We will see you throughout the season. Don't you worry about that. I'm still confident that Leeds will finish above Sheffield United this season, so don't worry about it, mate. Don't worry about it. Look, Sammy Szmodics, even if, like, Graham Smith's article does say they are looking at other options for the attacking midfield position, do you think that we will sort of make the wingers null and void and go with the wing backs and have 10s? Because that's the way I was looking at that this morning, thinking if we are after Szmodics, one of or both, Somerville and Nonto, are probably going to exit, at which point we're probably looking for a different setup behind the main striker, which will probably be Joseph.
Yeah. I think it's options as well, though, because we talked about it right at the very end. I think we talked about just after the Southampton game as well, that if he decides to change things this year, he might go back to what he did at Norwich, which was like essentially 3-10s in behind, 3-10s in behind the striker, including a striker at times. So if he decided to go with that, that makes sense. But he also still has Dan James and Jorginho Rutter. So if he does bring in two more central players, he still has the option to go wide if he needs to and change the system and put both lads out wide. They work fine. Like Georgie coming in off the left is no problem. Dan James on the right was excellent last year. So it just, again, it gives him more options. But I was looking at the squad today, and if you add two more decent level signings to what's there, the entire 11 or 18, the 18 for me looks a hell of a lot stronger
100%.
than last year. I mean, you're looking at really good players sitting on the bench next year that will definitely come onto the pitch, as well as one or two youngsters, which is what you want, because you want to give them game time as well. If they look like they might make the breakthrough. But Leeds are, for me, 2 to 4 signings off a very solid squad, even if Nonto and Somerville go, because they'll be replaced, and then you add two more, and that's great. That's a really good squad, and I think it's a good enough squad to win the league. I'm really excited from what I've seen so far. That team, because you add to that Max Vauber and you add to that Brendan Aronson, who just weren't here last year. So they are new signings. I saw someone yesterday moan and complain because they're still there moaning about everything. That Sheffield United were outspending us. And I was like, well, they've signed 4, we've signed 4. We've lost like 14, of which 13 weren't here last. Sorry, we lost 16, of which 14 weren't here last year. They've lost equally the same amount of players like from their squad, but they're all squad players, and so you're neck and neck with them in terms of investment of players. But then you have to add to lead squad Vauber and Aronson, who weren't here yesterday. Essentially, Leeds have brought in 6 players now this summer. If you look at it from that perspective, they weren't in the squad last year. They weren't planning on being here. They were gone. As far as we're all concerned.
Do you know what, Joe? I'd maintained that as well, and I got shot down for it quite a lot, to say that actually this year's squad, although the quality won't be as high, the squad will be more suited to Farke and will be deeper because of that, I think.
100%. I get the argument about, well, you have to replace Nonto or Somerville's goal output.
Yeah.
But we didn't have a striker last year that did that. So ideally, you'd have a striker this year who'll score you 20 plus goals, and that sorts out that problem. And you go back to a normal team where, I mean, Blackburn were the same. All their goals came from Szmodics, a deep line 10 or a advanced 8, if you want to call him that, but not very much not a striker. And he got all of their goals last year. You know, and if you're a team, you want those goals to be coming from your striker. And if you can add those goals, similar amount of goals elsewhere on the park, chances are you're competing at the top for that. That's what you want, which is why Leeds have added someone like Joe Rothwell this year who can get a couple of goals from midfield if they need it. they've had a look at this whole thing. It's not okay for Leeds to rely on Somerville. We all got fed up the second half of the season with every ball going to Somerville's side of the park. It became easy to defend against. It became easy to deal with. We became super predictable as a squad. And that word was used so many times by Leeds fans. We are so predictable. So changing that up makes perfect sense. Giving yourself more options to change the dynamic, the shape of the team, be able to have 2 or 3 formations that you can alternate between during a match means that teams don't know what they're going to come up against. They can't go, well, Leeds are going to play 4-2-3-1. We put a low block, we're fine. Well, they might not. Leeds might play a 3-4-3 this year. They might play a 3-5-2. You don't know what they're going to do now. And that's the beauty of that. But you need to have players in that squad that can step in and fill those roles. And Leeds, arguably, and I said this a lot last year, outside of the couple of players on that bench, they didn't have a bench. They barely used them. And when they did use them, the players that came on didn't make an impact. So you're looking at players this year that you can have on that bench that can come on and make an impact in a game and get a goal. Like, you could be sitting on a bench this year with Rutter and Pirro both sitting on the bench, you know, with a Joe Rothwell sitting beside him or an Ilya Gruev sitting beside him. And that already that's a better looking bench. Do you know, that's only 3 players.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I don't. Yeah. I think that Leeds need to have goals from everywhere in the park, and relying on one player isn't going to be enough to get you up again.
Yeah. See, this Darren, the bid was accepted. We've just read articles from Peterborough saying that yesterday done his medical, tying up loose ends. The bid was accepted. It's done. He maybe just said that. Look, could all be laughing at us. At the end of the day, Darren McCanton, his podcast liked the tweet. They clearly were maybe having a bit of fun. Maybe they were having a bit of fun. Maybe they inquired and were told this is the price, and Leeds United said no. But the bid was already accepted. And yeah, he might get a selling price for Szmodics or whatever, but by all accounts, we're not interested anyway. I don't know. And listen, it was always going to be hard to beat off Premier League interest anyway. You know, and if Ipswich are serious, although the bid of 6 million with 6 million on add-ons is very, very small, right, isn't it? No, it's not great. So
they look for 20 for him and you're offering 6. That also might tell you the buying power of the club. And now they've been linked with sorry, continue. Sorry, wrong player. Move on.
Wrong player. Yeah, sure. Okay.
Blue short with Ipswich.
Smash the likes on the video for me as well, please, folks. We've got 824 watching. Make sure you go check out JUSTJOE Leeds United, the view as well. I will put his channel actually in the. I never do it because sometimes I worry about the characters. You're only allowed 100, and I don't want them too long.
You don't have to. Don't worry about it. Honestly,
no, it's done. It's done now though, because it's thing. He's chose Sheffield United. Yeah. What? Well done, Blades Ramble. Well done. O'Hare as well. Very good signing. Very good signing. Yeah. You got Jamie Shack as well. I won't throw no shade at Jamie because it's a Leeds lad, but
workhorse.
You got Jamie Shack, and we've got Jayden Bogle. Let's see who finishes where. Do you know what I mean? You forget we've already got the likes of Rutter. I don't want to say Somerville and Nonto because I'm not convinced they'll be here just yet. Where are you on that, mate? Because I've gone like
they're both gonna go.
Yeah, you do. You still think
I've not now.
Yeah,
I'm getting a bit reactive to some of the. I keep saying it. The faux outrage. Because now it started with Somerville going, there isn't a person involved at Leeds or around the club or who covers Leeds in any way, shape or form that didn't believe Somerville was going the second that Southampton game finished. That was it. We all came to terms with it pretty quickly. One of the first streams we did back on your channel after the Southampton game, the question was asked, are you over Somerville going yet? I'm like, yeah, I've moved on from that. I expect it to happen. Yeah. Just because he hasn't gone yet doesn't mean he's staying. But people are starting to get, well, if we let Somerville go, it's an outrage. Like, he is going to go, get used to it. Yeah. He is going to go. Now, the only side of it is if Leeds are holding firm on a price and nobody wants to pay that price, then great. Maybe he stays. But that's the only reason he stays.
Yeah.
And Liverpool won't pay that money. They're after is it Liverpool after Takefusa Kubo now from in Spain? Anyone who plays FIFA knows that he's a baller. So if they go after Kubo, they're not going after Somerville because they're paying 50 million for him and that's their ceiling. So, that'll be them out of the race. So then it's Newcastle, Dortmund, maybe, who haven't put a bid in. West Ham, does he want to go to West Ham? Is the height? So he might just look at it and go, feck it, I'll stay put for a year.
Yeah, exactly. And if, look,
I don't expect that to happen.
I think the thing is as well, it's a risk, isn't it? From Leeds United perspective, they say, this is what you pay now. He's only got 2 years. If we don't go up, then we've ballsed up. If we go up, you renegotiate a new deal with him in the Premier League with a big release clause. That's what Leeds United probably are banking on. Last season, they banked on it, thinking they could get their first time of asking, keeping a lot of them. Now, a year on, we've gone, shit, we didn't make it, so we are going to have to make some sacrifices. Kamara, Gray, get rid of all this deadwood. On the Somerville thing, it looks like they might be pricing teams out of it. And look, that's a risk they have to take, because if we don't go up next year, we're at shit creeks. He's got a year left. We'll have to accept half of what we could get now. Do you know what I mean? So these are things. But obviously, Leeds are gearing up for a very good season. And look, regardless of if now we're being told they're not true, these links to Burrows and Szmodics, there's no smoke without fire. It's coming from very, very reputable sources, you would say. So there has to have been something in it. The club are saying no now, that's fine. But there has to have at least been some sort of conversations, which means Leeds United are active, which means they are looking at players that are very, good, young up and coming, or in Szmodic's case, cream of the crop in the league, like we did with Pirro last season. I'm confident again, Joe, that Leeds United will be active and will ensure, come the end of the window, start of the season, that we're going to be in good shape.
Well, Joe Tiff told us yesterday Leeds are only bringing in fullbacks now. That's it. But we all know that's not the case. So, because we know that if Nanto and Somerville go, they'll reinvest at least some of that money onto the pitch and bring in other players. Whether the same caliber necessarily out of the box, possibly not, but that doesn't mean they're not going to be what they need to support the system that they're building. I have no doubt that if both those players do go, that they'll be replaced in some form or another. They'll both be replaced, and I'm okay with that. They've brought in players that we haven't been linked with before. They've brought in good signings. They brought in sensible signings. People can argue the Pirro one, but they're arguing it with rose-tinted glasses. Looking back with hindsight, when he came in, we were jumping off sofas and dancing on tables, as far as I would say, because that was it. That's promotion guaranteed. We'd got the top goal scorer in the division. He didn't fit the system. Maybe he'll fit the different system next year. Maybe there's some fate. He's not a 10 and he's not a 9 in Farkas systems. I don't know what he is yet. But you covered Szmodics stats earlier on, and there seems to be like a one-season betting period. Then he smashes the goals the following year. Yeah. And if you look at Pirro, his first season at Leeds didn't work, but still got 13 goals, which is still decent. He might smash it this year. I need to see an awful lot more from him to believe that, but it's possible. It's very, very possible. So people might be eating their words on Pirro at the end of the year. I know I said in your channel earlier on, swap Pirro for Szmodics. I would do, but I hear you. So would I. But at the end of the year, you might be looking at it going, actually, Jesus, he had a really good season, So things can change. The system change. If it does change, I'm still skeptical as whether I'd love to see Max Vover on the bench for the first game of the season, just because I'm petting like that.
Do you think, Joe, just out of interest, there's no way Max Vober agrees to stay if he isn't being told he's got a place in that 11? Sure, yeah. But I don't necessarily believe Max Vober's staying until the window's closed. Then I will. The way I look at it is, film me once, shame on me. Film me twice, shame on you. And he's lied once before. Now he seems very happy. He seems to be watching the videos and that, and he seems to be getting very involved. He looks busy. Brendan's there's definite propaganda from the club into going, look at Vober, look at Vober, look at Vober. That's what it seems.
I don't think it's what people. I think there is probably a bit of propaganda, but I think it's being directed to put pressure on him.
Do you think
Farka came out after the Harrod game and said he's told me he wants to stay, and I covered it this morning. His exact words on Vober where he is desperate to stay and wants to repay the club for what they saw in him when they spent all that money bringing him in the first place. So if he then leaves and the club he forced his way out, the club was like, well, we were told twice now by the player he ain't coming back again. The club looks squeaky clean from that perspective. So I think maybe there's a bit there. I would like to think Brendan will stay based on how he has conducted himself over previous years and the decisions that he has made. But you don't know till the window's closed. You don't know. I mean, I've been asking people about the loan release clauses. Graham Smith replied to me and said that he doesn't believe Aronson ever had a loan release clause this year in his deal. But we were told it was Harrison and Aronson. There was two. It was Harrison and Aronson. Then we were told, Aronson's waived his, which I think I said at the time. Yeah. That's magic then. So he doesn't have to put an amendment in a contract or sign anything. He just goes, I don't want it, and that's okay. It's gone out of the contract. That's not how that works. But then we were told, no, it's not Brendan. It's Rocca. So it was Rocca and Harrison. Then, no, it's not Rocca. It's the latest one. Insert new player here, Yeah,
exactly.
So, and he said he doesn't believe that Aronson had one in his contract in the first place. So, there's a lot of noise. But for me, if they stay, great. That's two more players that you've added to a squad that's already starting to come together quite nicely. We've only got our second preseason friendly coming up tomorrow, and already that squad's got 6 players more than it did 4 weeks ago. And that's good. that is good from a lot of things. I'm quite happy. I'm finding it very hard to find how people are consistently finding negativity in this. There's a person who follows me. I've just muted him and removed him off my Twitter, my channel, because it's constant. It's every day. There's people giving out about the white stripe on the yellow jersey yesterday. And you're like, Jesus, can take a day off. You know, you know. I want a yellow shirt. When are we gonna get a yellow shirt? Here's a yellow shirt. Oh, not that one. Got a collar on it. Why is there a white stripe on it? Because they're copying this shirt from the 70s, which had a white stripe and then a blue stripe inside it. Like,
mad, isn't it? Do you
fans?
Do we know when we've got a game, Joe?
I heard Wednesday, Friday, but that's not being confirmed by anybody. There's nothing on the LUTV to purchase it. They're showing it free, which means it's possibly going to go out on YouTube. But we don't know. We genuinely don't know. And the club have even said that they're baffled by the decisions that have been made. Why is there an embargo on streaming games? I know the last time Leeds were in Germany, there was a fight on the pitch. Fans got onto the pitch and there was a punch-up. But unless that's the reason why. But then why would that affect streaming games?
Yeah, it's strange. I think it
crazy.
It is strange. But we'll have to wait and see. More will be revealed over the next coming hours, days. You know, this moves. Listen, as a content creator, though, you can't help but be like, oh, finally some news. I woke up this morning at 11. I was like, boom, loads to get into. I went to town, came back, and I was like, boom, negative, but still loads to get into. There is that. Do you know what I mean? So, it's fun. It's fun again. It's fun again, isn't it?
Today was, yeah.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun, and maybe we'll get some more news at the end of the night. And the kit's out tomorrow. It's the one I'm gonna buy. I think it's gorgeous. Yeah, anything you want to add, Ari? Leeds United, The View? Anything you want to promote, my man?
No, welcome to come over and watch today's news is there. The Szmodics thing is there, but it's only a small part of the full news brief. And if anyone wants to sponsor my channel, I'm looking for a sponsor. That's all.
There you go. If you want to get in touch with Joe, then please do. His email will be what, Joe?
It's on the back end, the about section of the channel. If you click about, it'll be there.
Yeah, it will be there. Great
you
stuff.
Get on my Twitter as well.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for watching. Listen, you know where I'm at. If anything happens, I will be live. It's 4:23. I'm thinking it might be a quiet evening. But anyway, 2 great videos out today. Thanks for all the love and support. We're having a good month. Leeds United getting ready. Not too far away now, actually, from the start of the season. The first game is the 10th, so it's like 17 days, under 3 weeks. Yeah,
17 days to Leeds. There's a really good account just to have a look at. I'll try and find exact stuff. I can't remember his full name, and I should. It's gone out of my head. But he posts the picture. He's done it for the last 2 years. It's just those, little notice boards that you clip the letters into, and it just says days to Leeds, and he does a little countdown every single day. Oh, nice. It's a tiny thing. I love it. Yeah. Robin is his name. I get his thing. But yeah, it's maybe I won't. Can't find it. Yeah. But yeah, Robin puts it out every day on the Leeds United hashtag, and I love it because it gives me a daily reminder of how little time is left before we all get going again. Yeah. Joe, would you like to put John in the bin for me, or should you put him in the bin? Promote Joe all the time. I think Joe's referenced on my channel. I actually referenced it today about when I was talking about the Ben Jacob and Alfie Gilchrist. I mentioned it today as well. So there you go. So nice try, John. Nice try, but get in the bin, son. Anyway, we shall leave it there. Enjoy the rest of your day.